Hello, my name is Kanan Bodley. Welcome to another episode of House Call. Today we have Coach C of Indiana Tech and Coach McGuire of Concordia. Today we're just going to be going over the Indiana Tech and William Penn game, the Concordia versus William Penn game, the Madonna versus Siena Heights game, and the Indiana Tech versus Concordia game on the 29th. So we have a lot of movement going on in terms of the WHAC, and there's a lot of people playing outside of their conference for the last time. We have Indiana Tech taking on William Penn 21st. So what's your game plan going into that, Coach C?
Similar to anything else, we're focused on us. And we can execute our systems, to the best of our ability. We feel like we play well. They're a really balanced team. They got some guys at the top end that score more than others, but a ton of assists, athletic defense. They're just a fast team, an aggressive team. So I think that's similar to us, makes for an interesting game. And, we'll see who can play a cleaner game while playing fast, or if that's how they choose to play the game or not. But I think it'll be a very competitive one, very interesting. I think we match up against each other pretty closely. So should be a competitive game.
I think it will be too. Coach McGuire, what is your game plan for that game?
What Coach C was saying is, we're not good enough to pay too much attention to our opponent just yet. We're still figuring things out. We've had a big break between our last game and this upcoming one, so we've had some wounds that we had to mend, and some changes that we wanted to implement, and we feel decent about them. We're still 3 more days, but we're focusing on those. And then as far as William Penn goes, I just know that they're a physical team. I remember we went out there 3 years ago for spring break, and I just walked away thinking we need to take a lesson from how they impose their will physically. They overwhelmed us physically, and I have to imagine that that's a part of their identity still. And so we're preparing our guys for that. Again, we know who Breck is. I remember him coming out of high school. I was upset to know that he was going to go to William Penn. And so we know he's the focal point of most game plans, rightfully so, but they have other guys. I agree that they're really balanced, and they're going to test you. I think they're still figuring out their keeper situation, just as we are. And I think that's going to be important to see how that plays out.
Absolutely. And I definitely think, I didn't mention everybody. It's bigger than just the people that are putting up stats, but the standouts defensively, like I see Max S, number 2, he's a senior. He's had a pretty good game. Even in the Madonna game, he had a pretty good game in terms of calls, turnovers, and ground balls. I'm excited to see how you guys face off against them. I think you can definitely facilitate if you take control of the face-offs, and you also take control of the space and transition. But other than that, I think that it's going to be a very competitive game, like you said, physical. But if you just tire them out and you stretch out their defense, it's gonna fall the way you think it's gonna fall. Looking at Madonna and Siena Heights, those are 2 WHAC opponents. They're kicking off WHAC play March 29th at 3 p.m. I think Madonna's ultimately going to walk away because they have a deeper bench, and they've been able to facilitate offense and transition very well. And the defense themselves, their unit has just numbers all across the board. But how do you guys think that the game's going to go away? We'll go with Coach Ty first.
I would expect Madonna to win. I think Siena Heights is in the rebuilding phase right now. They lost some guys from the past few years who have kind of carried the weight, and they're rebuilding, retooling their roster, and probably resetting how they want to operate. And Madonna, I think, is really on the cusp of establishing themselves as a contender for the WHAC, and they've earned, in my opinion, the respect to an expectation to probably come away with a win there.
Right. How about you, Coach C?
Yeah, I would say Madonna's would be the favorite going in. They're one of the top teams nationally. They've competed with, even the games they lost were really competitive games. They got some big wins at this point. So, I would see them as the favorite going in. They're probably, like you said, they're deeper. Their athleticism will probably show in the open field in that game. But the thing with the WHAC, every team in the WHAC is good. And it comes down to what I was talking about originally with William Penn. For us, is just being sharp with what we're supposed to do and limiting unforced errors is kind of the recipe the whole way. So I think whichever team can do that better, like if Siena Heights doesn't make a bunch of mistakes that night, they got enough talent to make plays and they can hurt you, and all of a sudden you can win that game. I would assume Madonna's going to have the upper hand, but I don't think you're safe playing a team in the WHAC, especially if you're not playing your best game. Any of those teams can win, but other than that, it'll be interesting. We'll see.
I think it will be too. I think there's definitely weapons on Siena Heights, and there's definitely people that are, still getting into their game. And when you get into WHAC play, everything just means a little bit more, just because there's going to be people that you're going to have to see again later on during postseason when you make it. So it's going to mean a little bit more to the younger guys, into the sophomores, into the juniors, knowing that they're going to have to step next year, and into the seniors knowing that they're going to leave next year. So I think that it's going to be a very good game. Madonna, a team that's good on fast breaks, they get on hands, they control faceoffs, and then Siena Heights, very big scorers on offense, relying on their Ella Sims, their faceoffs. Like you said, still trying to figure out their goalie situation, but I think that it's still going to be a very competitive game. And then later on in the day, we have Indiana Tech versus Concordia. How do you guys think your players are going to stand out, individuals, in terms of, playing against each other? And who do you think is going to stand out against you in terms of your opponent? We'll go with Coach C first.
The thing we're probably going to focus on first is the offense for Concordia. A lot of returners, a lot of dangerous players. Most likely, unless we can force a really high pace and make them tired, you're going to see a high-level guy at every spot on the offense. So it comes down to what you think you can really probably defend best and how you can put them into spots that isn't going to hurt you so bad. That's been a focus of ours for some time now. Is that group of weapons they have. I know it's not maybe exactly what it looked like in years past. We lost a couple of guys that graduated, and it's a thinner roster than we're used to seeing, of course, for obvious reasons. Certainly a dangerous group, and a group I don't know that I would say we've modeled our energy on, but kind of reminded us at times why we need to have high energy at all times, and they're a group we'll certainly never sleep on, if we ever have. On again. So that's kind of more than any person or specific way they're going to hurt us. We got to make sure we can maintain our energy and aggressiveness and at least match what they're bringing and stay locked into what they're doing offensively. I'm sure they're doing well on D and everywhere else too, but that's our main focus at the moment, is keeping eyes on their weapons.
Absolutely, and I think that offensively, defensively, there's going to definitely be some standouts like there always have been. Devin M, Josh B, Jake D, Zach Spiz, Carter K. I think that there's definitely going to be some standouts that are going to stand out offensively and defensively for Concordia as well. I haven't watched as many games for Concordia just because I've been looking through the WHAC play and the live streams, and there was only Tennessee Wesleyan and I think one other, but I didn't get to it. So who has stood out for you this year so far for Concordia?
Yeah, so everybody, we have 23 guys, so we're all important. But I really feel like the guys that we just kind of rely on to carry the brunt, I know they're usually top of the scouting report. It's Travis Wright. He's the first one that I think a lot of teams focus on, and he's done a really good job of drawing a tough matchup but still producing, being efficient. I think we're encouraging him. He's always taken a lot of pride in his turnover ratio, and I think we've kind of tried to explain to him that a few more turnovers sometimes is a good thing, especially when you're just not playing afraid. And that's and we're encouraging him to if you get a tough matchup, we're still going to need you to produce and draw slides, and so he's been really big for us. I think our attack unit has really done a better job. Sometimes our offense is a little more midi driven than most, and the attack can kind of get lost. But I really have been impressed with our attack's ability to just produce and take care of the ball, and and just be reliable. And I think it's been really important for us. Our defense with our school situation took the biggest hit as far as like, guys that maybe would have been here that aren't. And then, our first game of the year, our top pole tore his Achilles. So I really have been impressed with our group's resilience. We've just been having to figure out. We have a saying in our program about that talks about finding a way no matter what, and they've done a good job of just finding a way. And we've had one of our poles play goalie half the time. He's done a great job. I do feel like we're getting to a point where we feel more confident with what we are doing, and we're paying a little bit less attention to our opponents and just kind of focusing on here's how we want to play. Let's just get really good at this, or as good as we can at this. And it's not the same way that I would love to play defense with a full roster, but it's what these guys do well, and so we're going to do that. But we don't have, there isn't a guy, it's a good and a bad thing right now, where there's not a guy who I would say is, hey, we have a cover, we have a top cover guy, we'll lock down this player. We're just operating as a unit, and we're nameless, faceless, and we're just trying to get the job done.
I like it. You guys are going to be scrappy no matter what. I think that there's going to be people on your team that are there for a reason. They decide to stay for a reason. So you're going to get the best out of them. And I'm excited to see what you guys do this year, especially within the conference. Between the three of us, Madonna, Indiana Tech, and Concordia, you guys are my 1, 2, and 3. We're just going to have to figure out who's 1, 2, and 3 through the WHAC play. So thank you so much for tuning into this house ball episode. I appreciate you guys for coming and commentating with me about your last games and the games to come. Tune in next week.